the fire. That is a submission from Kyle67. That is actually my buddy from back home. And so thank you, Kyle, for that. And we are Camp Strange. My name is Alex Tobin. I am your counselor.
And I am David Stokes, your other counselor.
Perfect. And today we're going to be telling you some weird, wacky, strange, scary, spooky, any other adjectives you could think of, stories. And what? Do you hear that?
I think that's a bear?
What is it? Oh my God! Look!
Hey, look who it is!
It's Jared Kleber.
What up?
It's our buddy Jared. He must have saw the smoke signals from a distance, decided to come hang out.
Take a seat by the fire.
Smell like hot dogs.
We're always roasting a couple weenies over here, but
yeah, I'm stoked to be here. Stoked to eat a couple hot dogs.
Stoke the fire.
Yeah, I've got no puns for you. I'm gonna stay away from that one.
It all comes together, but So today we have our first ever guest on Camp Strange, and it's Jared Kleber from Lowupside.com.
Wow, that's such like a cool thing that you said, that you like plug my website.
I do. I kind of try to do it every episode. I sometimes forget.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to, but thank you.
So why don't you tell us what Low Upside is?
Yeah, we're just like a website, and we just like write about in culture, and we sports, do a bunch of podcasts.
Okay.
We hang out with these boys here.
Yeah. How can people find your stuff?
They can just go to lowupside.com. It's
All
such a
right.
clean .com domain.
It's fresh.
It's one of the big three.
One of the big three, yeah.
Yeah, .com, .net, and .org, obviously.
Oh, I thought you were going to be
Yeah.
like Amazon,
Facebook. No.
Facebook, Google,
and then
or
Low
no.
Upside.
I mean,
Google's-
they're all big three as well.
Google's not in there. Yeah, it's better than the EDU.
Yeah.
You don't want the EDU.
Or we're not, not dot
Ado.
Gov.
or .wordpress.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, we paid to not have that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's worth the extra money.
Domains aren't expensive, so just like spend the extra $10 to get a normal domain, right?
I mean,
Mine was like $20.
depends on what you want.
Oh, that's true, I guess, huh?
Like if you just wanted camp.com, you're not getting that.
No, Facebook's harder to get, right?
I wonder what camp.com is. What do you think that is?
Do I have to check
Probably
this
a
right
camping
now?
website.
You think it's a camping website?
Probably.
What is it?
It is literally just a picture of the word camp over. It's a graphic of the word camp, and
It's animated.
They're just waiting for someone to come along and offer big bucks. They're
I think
holding
that
out.
people do that.
Oh, big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Like I have a buddy that I know who when like a cool kind of word or name comes out, like he'll go and try to buy domain names so that he can sell it for way more.
It's an interesting business that I feel like not a lot of people think of, and it could be lucrative if you choose the right words and you find out on the ground floor.
Yep, big time.
But
time.
we're not here to talk about websites, you guys. We're here to talk about scary, spooky stories.
And Jared.
Hey.
And so I guess we should just jump into it because, we got 3 stories coming at you today. They're going to be a little bit shorter, each of them, so we could fit them all in. But they're all going to be equally spooky and strange. So as always, I guess I'll go first. Jared will jump in second, and then Stokes will,
come up around on the rear.
Yeah, he'll hit us. He'll hit us in. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about a man or a thing or a woman. I should have said man, woman, or thing, but anyway, it's called The Watcher.
Ooh.
The Watcher. So in 2014, Maria and Derek Brodus, along with their 3 young children, moved to the other side of the picturesque town of Westfield, New Jersey, into their dream home, a giant 6-bedroom, 3.5 bath Victorian house.
Sounds beautiful.
It sounds nice. I mean,
Does it have a porch?
Oh, it's got a porch. It's got
a wraparound?
It's got some.
Oh,
it's nice.
That's
it's
good real estate.
real nice. It seems like New Jersey's a nice like upstate New Jersey.
Everyone in New Jersey has big driveways.
Big
Really?
driveways and
Big, long driveways.
Why?
I don't know.
Because they all have boats.
It's just how it is.
Because of the mob.
Because of the mob, yeah. It's because of the mob.
You blame everything on the mob in New Jersey, I feel like.
Well, they need the boats for the cement shoes. One,
Exactly.
bada bing, bada boom.
The 5 families.
So Derek was an insurance executive in New York, and along with his wife Maria, who was a stay-at-home mom who took care of the 3 kids, and she was a Westfield native. So when they bought their 400 square foot house in 2014 for $1.35 million.
Woof.
Yeah, they bought it from John and Andrea Woods, and that's a lot of money. I feel like I don't know how expensive houses are in
Joyzy.
New Jersey, but like that's an expensive house, like
And
wherever
and
you are.
you said 400. Is it 4,000?
Did I say 400?
Yeah.
Oh my God, 4,000.
Because like
That was my
400
bad.
is insane, but 4,000 I guess makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
It's not like a bungalow on the beach or anything. No, it was a 4,000 square foot house. My apologies.
Good catch. I would have never got that.
There's somebody at home who's like, what the fuck are they doing in New Jersey? They are overpaying for property.
Once you get past like 30 when it comes to numbers, I zone out.
Yeah. So the transaction for the house was as normal as any other estate purchase, and the Brodus family moved in on June 2nd, 2014 to start their new lives. But unfortunately, someone or something was not pleased with the new ownership. So 3 days after the Brodus family moved in, they found a letter in their mailbox of their nearly 100-year-old house. When they opened it, they read the contents, and the happy and grateful family became paralyzed with fear. The letter was from someone or something that claimed themselves to be the Watcher, and the content of the letter soon made the name very clear. Why he chose that name, you know? So he basically he sent 4 letters, or I keep saying he because I don't know. I feel like guys are just generally more creepy. So
Yeah, maybe just start going with it.
It. So
Or they.
maybe it's a couple people, you know? So it or they sent 4 letters in like a couple weeks, basically. And the first letter read, "My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming."
Oh.
So, like, great opener. Like, what is going on? I mean, there's some other things in the letter as well. It said, quote, "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them out to me."
So, I mean, the thing that comes off right at the bat to me is that, he's 3rd generation of
Watcher.
just watching this house.
He never had a choice.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? Maybe he hates it.
There's also a couple different things at play. There's a second coming of a thing.
Of it.
And then there's a they. There's a couple other things that he is waiting for, needs the blood of.
He needs the young blood.
The young blood of a couple other things.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about little baby JC, the second coming.
Yeah, I think he saw those chillins, and I think that's what the young bloods are. He just needs someone who's like maybe pure. But basically, in 2 more letters dated June 18th and July 18th, he wrote, "Have they found out what is in the walls yet? In time they will."
So that's confusing. So he's writing this letter to them saying, "Have they found out?" So who's they? Is he talking about like?
Talking about the family or children?
Who's they?
I believe he's talking about the family itself, maybe the children, but I think they just meant like people the inhabitants of the house, regardless of who they are, like have they figured out what we put there a long time ago? Anybody who is not Watcher 1, 2, or 3 is they.
Okay, so
You know what I mean?
So it's kind of a DJ Khaled thing where everybody but themselves is they.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think, there's a really exclusive club of grandpa, dad, and him, or it. And
Man, I bet the holidays were fun. You think they all watched the house at the same time?
Yeah.
Played some catch up in the treehouse while they're watching?
they're like playing catch with a severed head in the backyard or something. But another quote from that letter was, "I am pleased." This would be like the final straw, I feel like, for any parent. But they said, "I am pleased to know your names now and the names of the young blood you have brought to me. Will the young bloods play in the basement?" I hate that so much. I do not like that. Like, he hit all the good points. He hit, "I know your kids' names. By the way, there's shit going on in the basement," which is like,
Yeah, I'm just never buying a house with a basement.
that's
I'm gonna
fair.
fill that up with cement.
We live in California, so there's no basements here anyway.
True.
But So he also wrote a couple more quotes in this letter. Very curious gentleman. Who has the bedroom facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me know who is in which bedroom. Then I could plan better.
So they haven't moved in yet.
I think that he means like settle, because I think this came in 3 days after they.
So they still are like, presumably moving in boxes, like figuring out who's going where.
They got boxes. Yeah, I don't. They're probably all sleeping in the living room, eating Chinese food on the floor. Like, that's fun. It's sounds nice, really.
Yeah, eating off the cardboard box.
They don't do that. They probably had paper plates.
I don't know. After how much they spent on this house, though.
Good point.
Yeah, probably not
They
even
probably got
Chinese.
a few Fabergé eggs sitting around.
So many. It's a good investment, really.
They're cracking them for omelets every morning.
And then he concluded the second letter with, who am I? I am the Watcher. So he gave himself the name, which is a little less cool, because I feel like any serial killer is like,
well,
kind of crossing my fingers.
His grandfather had the name.
Yeah, I think
first,
he was
so
third generation
he was
Watcher.
given the name.
I guess you're right.
The Watcher.
I guess, yeah, you can't really branch out too far. I mean, he already took the family business up, and he's not one to, break tradition.
What type of benefits do you think this job comes with?
Binoculars.
Dental? No.
He gets a free pair of binoculars.
Okay.
He gets
Telescope, maybe?
Telescope, maybe. As much stationery as he needs, and stamps, which can add up.
Yeah, stamps.
Forever stamps.
Is if they're rare,
A
you can
nice,
resell
a
that.
nice pen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, probably like a fountain pen.
Probably a quill,
Yeah.
honestly.
Ooh, yeah, maybe a quill.
I wonder what his
Peacock feather quill.
calligraphy classes maybe. But I'd love to see what his handwriting looked like. I could not find the letters online, but I do know that they are real, because people there were some lawsuits going on, and they quoted these letters. So you can't write stuff in a legal document in court without there being perjury if the letters aren't real themselves. So they are real letters for sure.
Oh, we got a lawyer on our hands here.
Yeah, you know. So then came a couple more ominous notes that seemed to show someone was actually stalking them. They said, "You have changed it and made it so fancy." He's like pissed off that it's all nice. "It cries for the past and what used to be time when I roamed its halls, when I ran from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. And now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again." So I guess he used to live in the house, or
Could have been like a helping hand.
yeah,
kind of thing.
he could have been like the paper boy, and then be like, "Come on in," and he just like do a little sprint up the hall.
Kind of reminds me of Gatsby.
Oh,
You know how he just like watches across the water?
Yeah.
He's just like, "Ooh, I know you too."
I think it's fair to say that Gatsby was probably the first Watcher. Do you think he was the grandfather?
No, wasn't it? What? Not Gatsby watching. Wasn't it Nick? Not Nick. Tom or whatever the guy.
Well, he would watch for the green light, wouldn't he? Like across the
Yeah,
lake.
that's what I meant.
I thought that was Gatsby.
Was it Gatsby? I don't remember.
I can't even read. Why am I fronting like this?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I've never read it.
But he finished his third note with, "I am in charge of the home, and let the young blood play again like I once did, and stop changing it and let it alone."
Let it alone.
Let it alone. So he was also not an intellectual, which I could vibe with a little bit, you know?
He was more of a watcher, not a
Mhm.
writer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He probably,
People have their flaws.
he had somebody help him out with the letters a little bit, probably. But he was just really obsessed with young blood.
I really hope that this was like an 8-year-old neighbor who was learning how to write and just had no idea how creepy they were sounding.
Just like a teenager.
Yeah.
He just like, I don't know. I don't get his obsession with the young blood. I mean, I don't know why he's saying so many times. He says it like in every letter like 8 times.
It's well known that the younger the person, the better the blood tastes. Everybody knows that.
You make a really good point.
The young blood, assuming if this isn't like, this is just like, if it is someone just playing a prank on them, like a really fucked up prank, the young blood thing gives it like that extra edge.
Yeah.
It's creepy because I think it's like not a normal
Request?
What's the word I'm looking for?
Demand?
in the normal lexicon of like speech, I think,
Okay.
of like what people actually say, no one says young blood.
Yeah, it
Like-
typically doesn't go stale.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, actually it does. You
It-
can't put in like blood banks and stuff. They can't use it past a certain time.
Well, yeah, that's when you take it out of the body. But
Well, what the hell do you think this guy's doing with young blood, man?
no, drinking
He's
it.
just like, I just really like that you have young blood in your veins. Like, he's definitely removing young blood.
He's prepping for the second coming.
It's
Yeah.
coming.
Something's coming.
It
It's
is.
the second time.
So he basically finished up with the letter. On the fourth letter, he said, I asked the woods to bring me young blood. So he kept bringing up young blood, and apparently he asked the previous owners for young blood.
Oh, I thought you meant like the woods, like the trees.
Oh, no.
Okay.
He
The family, the
The
woods.
family.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
He said that the Wood family turned the house over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. So he said, apparently, sell the house. So that was kind of weird. And then after the fourth letter, they decided this fear and anxiety is just not worth it. Fuck this. We're out of here. So they moved and they tried to sell the house. They actually tried to sue the previous owners for 3 times the price they paid.
Yeah, not disclosing.
They wanted like $4 million for not disclosing the fact that they were getting these harassing letters. And
Yeah, I think I would do the same fucking thing.
the interesting thing is, though, they can't prove that this Woods family ever received these if they just like burned them in a fire, because the only person that they're relying on is the Watcher. The
Yeah.
Watcher's like, hey, I told them to move. I've been sending letters for a while. So, I mean, their main witness is this dude who's threatening them the whole time.
Yeah.
Not a sound court case, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's no proof of anything.
So, so in the end, the evidence found against the Watcher was not substantial enough to make an arrest or even identify a suspect, meaning that if you ever find yourself in Westfield, New Jersey, just remember that the Watcher just may be watching you.
Ooh.
So
Okay, so now we're going to walk away from your little outro there. So my question is, what happened to the next family that moved in?
they could not sell the house. So I think the city of Westfield bought it, and what they wanted to do was tear down the house and make 2 separate houses out of it.
Okay.
But the city itself, like the occupants of the city, got mad because it's a beautiful house
Yeah.
that has like some historical significance. It's like over 100 years old at this point. So they're like, no, don't do that. That's fucked up. But they're like, we're sitting on this nice house that nobody wants to move into, because even if this person is not a deranged person, or if they are a deranged person, they moved on and they're not doing this anymore, people are going to harass who's ever in this house from now on. People, pranksters and kids are just going to, like, if they see somebody moving in, they're just going to send those letters in. I guarantee it. So they're like,
Why don't they just leave the door open and walk away and then wait for this person to walk in and just be like, this is my place now? And they're like, hey, found him.
no, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's that easy.
I think it's worth a shot.
Leave like some cheese or some peanut butter right in the doorway and see if
What do
he...
watchers like to eat?
blood.
Young blood, apparently. Blood sausages, maybe?
Yeah, let's find some young blood, leave it out there, open mason jar, and
He's just like a Scottish guy in a kilt. He's like, you got some young blood up in there. Blood sausage. They like blood. Scottish people like blood.
Blood
Do they?
sausage.
They make blood sausage. It's really gross how you make blood sausage.
oh, I've made blood sausage, but it wasn't in
You
Scotland.
made blood sausage?
Yeah. I accomplished a lot in my time
Showing your true
abroad.
colors right now. Where you
Yeah.
from? New Jersey? What's
Yeah.
up?
Jersey. I like to watch. Like
that
to
Eddie
watch what
Brock?
you're doing.
Is that Venom?
There's some bad people. I'm a journalist. I'm Venom.
Anyway.
The movie's going to suck.
I don't think anybody's going to understand what we're talking about.
No.
So that is the story of the Watcher. And he's out there still watching. It's either the greatest prank of all time to get somebody to move out of a $1.5 million house, or this guy is just fucking insane. So,
That's usually the two situations for most things.
yeah.
It almost blows my mind how crazy easy it is to drop a property value by just doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I know.
You could just start
Oh.
sending random letters to a randomly
Yo.
nice house.
It's
and-
got to be old.
And then,
we could start doing that just
and
to get a
it's-
mansion up in the Beverly Hills.
yeah.
It's true.
Could be nice.
Yeah, because if we know we're sending the letters, we're not
Yeah.
scared to get it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll just move back in.
Was that
We'll
like
get a big enough place we won't even see each other.
is that like mail fraud? What is that? Is that like like
Blackmail, I guess.
threatening somebody? Like, what's the law behind that?
Oh, there's a name for it. What is that called?
Harassment?
I guess you could call it harassment. I feel like there's a better term for it.
Probably a couple felonies in there.
Yeah, I think it's.
Well, what they sued the title insurance company and a absolute escrow settlement company for common law fraud, equitable fraud, and emotional distress, among other things, for having failed to tell them about the watcher.
Oh yeah, because the
before they
previous
bought the house.
sellers.
They have to disclose
Didn't
that kind of stuff.
Could it be menacing? Because I'm pretty sure there's a charge of being menacing.
To send like somebody like weird threatening letters is menacing.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Just start sending them. See what we go to jail for.
Let's find a nice house. Let's find like a practical nice house that even when they drop the value, we can afford it at that point.
Oof. In LA, I don't know if that even happen.
True.
Let's go find a dump and just scare them out of it.
Hell yeah.
Maybe the rats will go with it. Well, I think that means it's time for our guest here, Jared, to tell us his spooky story.
Great. My story is a little less spooky, a little more mysterious, I guess.
That's
we
fine.
love the mystery.
So, as a preface, this real life story takes place in Death Valley, which, if you're unfamiliar with Death Valley, I actually grew up south of Death Valley in a Mojave Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Mojave Desert's a mysterious place full of just an uncountable amount of odd things.
I feel like the desert usually is because it's kind of like the spot where these things can live in peace and not be harassed. Right?
They estimate that the Mojave Desert is home to the most unsolved dumped bodies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of like aliens and monsters. And you're like,
and then
murders.
And so it starts with that, and then it goes into Old West towns that no longer exist, UFO sightings,
True.
chupacabras. Like, it just goes on and on and on and on.
It's true.
But I actually wanted to tell something a little more true, a little more real, rather than just bring like, oh, the guy saw a Sasquatch, which there's plenty of those things out in the desert. All right, so Death Valley, in case you don't know, is basin between two mountains, and it's 3,000 square miles.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
it's-
big.
Yeah, it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
It is the hottest place on Earth, excluding the Middle East, and it has the lowest point in the U.S. So it's just a frightening place to be
It's the lowest as in elevation.
in elevation.
It's also, doesn't it
It
get,
also has the highest, I think, at some point, too. One of the highest.
it gets the highest, but doesn't it also get like super, super cold at night too?
Yeah, it gets crazy cold.
Yeah, I guess like freezing at night.
Yeah.
But it also gets crazy hot, obviously, too. So there's a big disparity. So this story actually takes place in July, which is insanely hot. It was actually, when this took place, it was 124 degrees during the daytime. which
Holy
is
shit.
insanely hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't sign
That's-
up for that.
That's awful.
So, October 21st, 1996, Death Valley Park Ranger Dave Brenner was flying in a helicopter over southern Death Valley when he spotted a vehicle in the wash of Anvil Canyon. Do you know what a wash is?
No, I was about to ask that.
So a wash is basically when there used to be a river, it's now dried up. So now it's super soft sand.
Oh, yeah.
That your car can't drive through.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this was odd to him because there's no real road into Anvil Canyon. And there's no legal road, like no paved road, no dirt road, into the canyon. Back in the day, there used to be, because they used to mine Death Valley for silver.
Oh, really?
But they hadn't had real vehicles, like real car vehicles down there in years. So they decide to investigate this bizarre vehicle that they can see down there. And what they find is it's not a four-wheel drive off-road vehicle like you'd expect,
I was
like an
about to-
ATV or anything.
I was
Like a
about to
Geo
ask.
Metro.
It's a 1996 Plymouth Voyager van with three flat tires.
What?
They go up, the van's locked, and there's just no signs of a person. No owner, nothing anywhere.
3 out of 4 is not good odds.
No, especially when you're like, deep in soft sand.
Yeah.
So they ran the vehicle's plates, and they actually found that it was owned by a group of German. It was a rent-a-car, and they contacted the rental agency. It was rented by a group of German tourists on vacation.
Was it a recent rental?
No. It hadn't been so this is October when they find this car. It actually was rented on July 8th. So a couple months later.
Wow.
And it was rented by this guy, Egbert Rimkus, a 34-year-old German man on vacation. And he took his family with him, George Weber, an 11-year-old child. He took his girlfriend, who was 28, and her son, Max Meyer, who was 4. So when they ran their names, they were like, who are these German people? Like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. They ran their names, and they found that there was an Interpol alert for their disappearance. So basically what had happened was his ex-wife, Egbert's ex-wife, had expected his husband and their son to come home.
Yeah.
So she could have custody of him from this American vacation for a while.
Yeah, a little trade-off.
Never came home, so she put out an alert saying, hey, he went missing in another country. And when you go missing in another country, it becomes an Interpol alert.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense.
They just don't know. Because at that point, it's a worldwide search. You don't know where they are.
Yeah. So at this point, the people who were supposed to be in the car were Egbert and his son. What was his son's name?
George. And then his girlfriend, Cornelia, and her son, Max.
Okay.
So 2 kids, 11 and 4, and a man.
2 adults.
And 2 adults, 34 and 28.
Okay.
So they decide that the best thing to do is to start looking through the car, looking at credit card statements, anything they can.
Yeah, receipts, anything they can find
out.
It's 1966, right?
No, 1996.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was totally picturing really. I'm like,
no, this is 1996.
Do they have receipts? I'm so stupid.
Jesus.
So it's 1996. It was only 20 years ago.
Okay.
And so they find that, all right, this family had flown into San Clemente, and they were on an American vacation. They kind of just did generic stuff. They decided they rented a car, and on July 8th, and then they drove the car up to Vegas because they found they had went to the Treasure Resort. They found evidence that they had went to the Treasure Resort, and they were supposed to fly there. They had tickets to fly back to Germany on July 27th.
Okay,
from Vegas.
From LA.
Okay, so they're going to do like a little road trip across California. And Nevada, California.
So this is where it starts to get weird. They don't know really what their plan was because halfway through the part of the way in, Egbert had to Western Union like $1,500 to him from Germany because he somehow was out of money, and they were supposed to go up to Yosemite, but they ended up driving into Death Valley, and people assumed that they were going to drive from Death Valley up into Yosemite and then probably back down to San Clemente. So they end up doing some more searching, and they found that the family not the family, they just had found that 2 copies of the Death Valley Monument Museum text, which is like a brochure that like shows you where all like the national monuments in Death Valley are, were sold at the store, the like Death Valley store, on July 22nd, and they sold 0 on July 23rd. So and they were sold in the German language.
Oh wow! So that's a big cue, right?
So that's a big one. They're like, okay, so these people definitely came. They were definitely these people, and they definitely decided to go into Death Valley for some reason.
I'm more surprised that Death Valley is so progressive and that they have German pamphlets.
That is very impressive.
I think they managed to get a handful of tourists, so they just kind of have them in the popular languages.
Okay.
So they search the van. They find one pamphlet in the van.
Oh,
in the van.
Okay.
So there are other pamphlets on one of these people. So now this is the 90s, and it's the middle of Death Valley in the middle of October, which is still a crappy month to be in Death Valley. The weather's not great. It's still hot and cold.
Yeah.
And they search for 4 days, but at this point, where Anvil Canyon is located in Death Valley is so many miles from the beginning of like where they would have left from that just getting to them and then wondering what direction they possibly could have gone, they could search for years.
And in all reality, it's like once you've been missing for that long in these conditions, it's
3 days, like 3 months.
Yeah, you're not looking for them alive.
Wow.
You're looking for
their bodies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, no one really remembers talking to any of these people. There is one log that they went into a hotel where they have like those like hotel books.
Yeah, the guest book.
And they wrote that they were going to try to go through this pass in Death Valley. That this pass was like a pass that's like you can't really drive through it unless you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
It's almost like they knew that they were like making a bad decision and they were like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs.
Almost, right?
Yeah.
So they searched for 4 days because this is all that the U.S. government will pay for. They don't send any.
Really?
Basically this search was going to cost them like $18,000.
Holy shit!
To do for 4 days.
You don't think about that.
And they're just like,
You're talking helicopters. You know what I mean?
A bunch of people holding hands, walking. You know,
and the best they can do is contact local police. So like my local police went, and like our search and rescue team went up there.
And where are you from?
Victorville.
Exactly.
So the high desert, like the
Pretty
high desert
close.
cities, are local police people. The cities in between us and Death Valley, and then a little bit, and then because everyone above Death Valley, they have smaller and smaller and smaller police forces. And we're talking about like park rangers who aren't really, just
a sheriff and a deputy who are just like a fun drunk couple.
Like Lone Pine probably has a sheriff and a deputy, and that's it.
And I don't want to sound negative or anything, but if it's a local person, the search will probably be a little more intensive. But since these are foreigners that no one knew or anything, no one has a connection to them of any sort, like I really don't think people are going to be volunteering their days to be out there looking for them.
The search really doesn't lead to a lot. All they can really figure out is none of these people are prepared to be camping.
Yeah.
None of these people are in a car that should be driving on these roads. And at best, all that they really have is they've found like, okay, at some point they must have got out of the car because there's like a bottle of beer outside the car.
Because they're not in the car.
Because they're not in the car anymore.
At some point,
and the car's locked, so they locked the car.
Oh, okay.
So
and they have a bottle of beer too.
There was a bottle of beer outside the car.
Empty
on
bottle?
a bush. Empty bottle.
Okay.
Bud Ice, by the way, to be particular.
What?
So that really dates it.
The Germans are like, oh, let's try this delicious American beer.
Try this Bud Ice.
Bud Ice.
Honestly, I don't know.
Ice.
I don't know what Bud Ice is.
It's like the natty light of Budweiser, I guess.
Okay.
It's pretty bad.
It's really bad.
Do you think drink
It's sold in a 40 size.
There's a reason why you probably don't know what it is because it's so bad that most people don't sell
that might be like some of the only beer that they had around the area, so they're just like, yeah, get that.
It's true.
Knowing the area, yes, that's probably one of the few beers they sold
a big Bud Ice. Putting ice in the name makes the desert folk go crazy.
True. And like they probably took a sip of it and all exploded, honestly. Let's not kid ourselves here. It's Bud Ice.
Bud Ice.
They won't find you once you drink a Bud Ice.
So what ends up happening here is they search for 4 days and they go, we can't afford to do this. There's nothing that there's no evidence we're finding. They're gone. This is Death Valley. They're gone. Mm-hmm. So what happens?
You get the name for a reason.
So there's all these theories over the years of what happened to these people. So some people who were close to Egbert said that they believe he wanted to disappear and fake their deaths because he talked about how he really wanted to move his family to Costa Rica.
Oh, okay.
So some people are saying he faked his death. Other people believe that he broke into so there's a government facility in Death Valley called the China Lake Facility. The China Lake Facility is it's a known government facility that is 100% untouchable by the public. You do not go near it. They will kill you. They will shoot you.
Really?
They will shoot at you. It's like
Shot
Area 51.
on site, yeah.
It's shot on site. You do not get near this place.
Is China Lake an actual lake that's near it, or is that just
I believe it's a lake bed.
Okay.
So
we don't know what's in that facility.
Probably a lot of nuclear weapons and stuff like that.
I would guess.
So some people believe that they got out of the car and the family walked into some land, were picked up by a China Lake employee and brought back and were either forced into a black U.S. government program where they were then
turned into the Fantastic Four.
Witness protection program. You need to not know what you saw here, or eliminated by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Because there's shit out there that you're not allowed to see.
Yeah,
highly classified stuff.
They definitely think that they're like spies or something. Like you guys are German spies.
Now this is
4-year-old German spy.
Hey,
starting me
you
young.
never start them too young.
Yep.
You know,
4-year-old kid. Yeah, you got to eliminate that one.
Yeah, real quick.
This is actually one of my favorite theories. It's also fucking dark. some people believe that they might have come across some leftover Manson family people, because the Manson family was actually based out of Death Valley.
Yeah.
And there was many people in the cult who didn't commit the Sharon Tate murders and weren't really involved with anything in LA that they did.
Mm-hmm.
And there are tons of leftover cults actually out in the desert. You got you got Children of God, you got the family.
Turnbull Canyon, yep.
There's tons and tons of cults.
Still to this day.
Yep.
Still to this day.
A lot in the canyons and the desert areas. There's a lot
Like
of
I
cults
said,
out there.
there's
It's a
stuff-
lot of open land that not a lot of people survey or go out to, and it's
Nobody will bother you out there. They have
Yep.
that Slab City.
Slab City?
That's another like really weird area where just like people live out there and cops don't go out there, and people just like go do meth out there, and then some people do meth, some people just like live hippie lives, and they just like
There's usually no cops, because these places, like where my father grew up out in the desert, there's no local police. It's actually just the county sheriff. So the county sheriffs don't have time.
yeah.
no.
Especially not in the 70s.
You know, if they're doing their own kind of community out there, doing God knows whatever, it's like,
usually meth.
who cares? If you're going to come into the city and you're going to do that stuff, like that's their problem.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, if you're going
Out
out
of sight,
there,
out of mind.
exactly. If you're going out there to do whatever it is you're doing, like that's not really any of their concern. They couldn't care less.
Yeah, so some people think that the Manson family leftovers probably picked them up and murdered them.
Swooped them up.
So you're saying that the Manson family, who had nothing to do with the Sharon Tate murders, they were
There was people who were Charlie Manson followers who weren't arrested or involved in the murders down here.
Yeah.
So they're still holed up in the desert, just kind of.
They're still naturally inclined to murder, though. That's what I was asking. Is like, because I thought
Maybe.
that they were like, "Fuck off, Charlie. We're gonna go do this like non-murder part of the cult, and you guys can go do the murder part." But like, they're all murder-esque.
20 years in the desert sun will
It'll fry your brain.
fry your brain.
Yeah,
You'll be looking for some young blood.
true. Well, the blood boils out there.
Get real thirsty.
Yeah, you just make some good blood sausage out there.
Blood stew.
So basically, all these years, the only thing they could really figure out was this is the route that they drove from X to the Wash, and at some point they didn't realize they were completely lost. They got to a fork in the road, one that led down to Anvil Canyon. They took the wrong step.
Well, there's the Los Angeles national bird right there flying over the place.
I think they're looking for that family still.
Yeah. So just real quick pause right here. Tobin and I usually record the show a little later. We're doing it earlier today, so there might be the occasional outside sounds that you don't usually hear because people are moving around a little bit more right now. So we apologize if you hear helicopters or cars or people. But let's get back to the missing family.
Yeah, so they basically realized this family got to a fork in the road, one that led to Anvil Canyon, one that would have actually probably taken them deeper into the Death Valley, but was still a drivable road.
Yeah.
And they just took the wrong turn, got stuck in the wash, had flat tires, because they must have already had flat tires before then, and that was it. Now, 13 years later, this guy who lived in the surrounding areas became absolutely obsessed with the story. Like, obsessed to the point where
Those people are great.
he started contacting everyone he knew involved, people involved in the search party, reaching out to all these people, and basically him and this other guy who was like a Death Valley expert decided we're going to hike out there. And we're gonna drive out there, we're going to hike out there, and we're just going to look around.
That's awesome.
And let's see what we can find.
Get a metal detector,
And
hopefully.
well, you're not going to find bones with a metal detector.
Yeah,
No,
what, they
but
have,
you
like,
might find another
reconstructive
You
surgery.
might find another Bud Ice can. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can bottle.
You can follow the Bud Ice cans to the corpse.
There's a bottle, but yeah, get a glass.
You don't know that.
So they went hiking around, hunting around, and 13 years later, they stumbled upon human remains.
Let me guess. I want to guess where they were though, because in my mind, I'm thinking you get a family of 4. They're walking across the desert. They're in a country they don't know. I'm gonna guess that they were found in a cave / under some rocks, under like some shade that they're trying to get some shelter, and they just died.
Why would that be only like foreigners to do that?
No, I just mean that like they don't really know where they are, so like their priority was maybe to find shelter, not to like, be like, oh, we're a few miles away, like we got to keep piling. Like,
a really
shelter.
common thing out in the desert is when people get stranded, they actually will walk into an old mine or a cave and then die in there.
Yeah,
where no one can find them.
God, that's
because they're not out in the
fucking
open where people can
sad.
see them.
Yeah.
So sad. That's why they probably couldn't see him with the helicopters or whatnot, where they were searching for, you know?
So they were actually just kind of on the side of a hill.
Okay.
And what they found was just a couple bones. And what they didn't know, the tough thing is there's a lot of donkeys out there, a lot of burros. So you find bones, you never know if they're human or not.
Yeah.
But they actually found the bones.
Well, it's a skull, of course.
Yeah, there's a few bones that are
Couple
pretty
skull
pretty
or
easy
jawbone or something like
Oh,
that.
it is, yeah.
Find a couple bones and a wallet with an ID card.
Oh, that's a donkey wallet.
Yeah, donkey. That's a donkey's wallet.
Clearly a donkey wallet. And the ID cards are positive. They're Cornelia Meyer, the girlfriend.
Okay.
Holy
So
shit.
they hike back into town, call everyone up. The next day, they start like a big 2-week search. They're just like, we're going to go fucking naughty, and we're going to find
So
the
she
rest
was
of these
by
bones.
herself.
So they, as far as they know, I mean, they only found her belongings and her bones. So she was by herself. It's about 9 miles away from the car. Not even that far.
No.
9 miles. It's not that far.
Impressive to walk in Death Valley, my opinion.
Especially in street clothing and 124 degrees.
Yeah, no
heat.
preparation for
Yeah.
it or anything.
Wow.
So they kick off a professional search. This time they got helicopters and more shit, and they're just fucking going after it. And they find a bunch of random belongings all over the place, scattered, in the general vicinity.
Yeah.
A couple Bud Ices.
Maybe a Game Boy or two.
But nothing else. That's it. Just those pile of bones. And they end up taking the pile of bones in, and they positively have the DNA matched to Cornelia. And in that same pile of bones, the DNA for Egbert.
No.
So she was carrying around an arm or something?
So
No, she was not. They probably both died in the same spot, and then
the kids kept going
Oh, wow.
Oh,
because the kids have never been found still to this day. They found children's shoes like 3 miles away from here, but no bones. So the kids, what they believe is the parents died, succumbed to the heat. The kids were still alive, kept going, and just disappeared.
And they were raised
by
under the name
wolves.
of Jared.
They moved to Victorville.
Yeah.
No, there's two options, like you said, that happened there, where either the kids laid down with the parents, which I think is a lot more likely, and the kids are so small that they don't have a lot
Little
of
bones.
Yeah, they have little bones. So I think that, well, here's what I was thinking, that a animal out there could pick up or drag maybe a whole child. I don't know. How
Some
old are they?
coyotes or something.
Yeah,
How old are they?
11 and 4.
Okay, so 11-year-old's kind of big, honestly, but maybe
could
if,
be.
I think the 4. My personal thought is the 4-year-old probably got carried off by an animal.
yeah, and then
Hell, a vulture could probably
or
do
which
that.
is even possibly even sadder is that they literally watch their parents lay down, die, or become not responsive, and then the 11-year-old's like, we have to keep going.
Yeah.
And then they just probably, maybe they're deep in that mine.
They found
That would
kids'
be a-
shoes 3 miles further.
Oh my god. Okay, that's also maybe animal,
Yeah,
maybe.
Animal could have dragged
Wow.
the kid,
Yep.
ate the kid, and the only thing that's left is the shoes.
That's
Yeah.
awful.
But they found like a bunch of their belongings, like more wallets and papers,
That's so weird.
and sunglasses, and
Yeah.
That's such a sad story because it's just like, it just goes to show you that these horrible tragedies can happen just from like a literal wrong turn on a road, and then it just escalates and escalates and escalates, and
Yeah.
it becomes this horrible thing where you're just like lost or confused, or I don't know.
but pretty cool that it was a mystery for 13 years. Like they just had no clue.
I bet that
And
place,
someone's like devoted enough to like get out there, and then they found it.
And he was just out here hiking, and
Yeah.
they did 2 weeks of searching, and he was still doing it like a year after their search, like still looking, like him and a friend, and
Yeah.
he eventually he just kind of gave up.
wow, crazy.
That's gnarly.
That was really cool.
Very popular story, the Death Valley Germans.
Is
Oh,
that
that's
is
what
that
they're
what
called.
they've crowned
Yeah,
it?
the Death Valley Germans.
Rest in peace, little boy and girl and Egbert, and I don't remember her name, but
Cornelius.
Cornelia
they got cool. They got
Cornelia.
good names.
and the 2 sons,
Oh, they're both boys.
both boys.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well.
All right. Well, I guess that means it's my turn to tell my story.
Let's do it.
So my story takes place in Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah. So in 1979, on February 11th, there was a few buddies who wanted to go on a fishing trip with each other, and so they were leaving the town of Hana. I believe that's. There's probably gonna be some words I'll butcher.
You're gonna say it all howly like.
Howley.
Yes, that's exactly what's gonna happen. So
There's no in there.
there were 5 friends who were all experienced fishermen, and they took sail in the morning on a 17-foot Boston whaler, and the boat was named Sarah Joe.
That's a bad name.
Yeah, it's not a great one, but I'll be referencing Sarah Joe a lot, so don't think I'm talking about some random lady. That's
Some handsome woman.
I already have a question about your story.
Yes.
Were these guys Hawaiian or were they American? Or mainlanders?
I believe they were all native, but I do believe there's some white guys in there.
Okay.
It's a little mixed.
But they're
in there.
Hawaiian.
I don't know if they were all born and raised there, but it seems that they were all locals of the area.
Okay.
So the 5 men included Benjamin Kalama. This is the one I'm definitely going to butcher. Ralph Malaikanini.
They sound Hawaiian.
Yeah, and then there's Scott Moorman. And,
He doesn't.
Patrick Wozner and
he does.
Peter Hanchett.
So it sounds like 2 Hawaiians, 3 howlies.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like we should stop saying that.
Is that a bad word?
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a bad word, but I don't think
You
it's
could
a
just
word
call
we
them
should-
mainlanders.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we should be saying.
So 2 lokes and 3 kooks. All right.
So the men left Hannah when they left, the water was nice and calm, and they're just like, okay, easy fishing trip with the boys. And so after a few hours after they left, the weather started to just like rapidly change and started to get really stormy outside. And this made Peter Hanchett's father, John, it made him like really nervous. And so he ran to the shore. He's running up and down the shoreline, seeing if he could find the boat to wave him in, because it was just getting worse and worse. And I don't think they had like the
GPS?
not so much the GPS, but I don't think they had the information that it was going to get worse.
Oh, I see.
And so it's kind of like, while he was on the land, so he could see that all the readings and everything was just like, it's just going to get worse. So he tried to get them to come back to shore. And so this is a quote from John, and he said, by the time it was really blowing a gale and the rain was beginning to come down and it was storming, so we went out to the Hannah Harbor about half a mile and up and down the coast. I still didn't see any sign of the boys. The oceans were fierce. I've never seen it get that rough. So the next day, after, at some point they had to kind of call it quits. So the next day, John continued to search for his son with another guy. And he was getting help from a marine biologist named John. Oh, boy. This is another one I'm going to butcher. John
He's the local.
Nato.
Okay.
Let's go Nato. But the men would come up short with finding the Sarah Joe. And no word from other people in the area. So, they're spreading word saying, have you seen the Sarah Joe? We're missing 5 guys. And so no one else who had been out in the water or on the shore has seen the boat.
So at this point, they're in their own boat, like just kind of doing some laps around looking for the boat? Or are they all on the shore looking out?
Yeah, so I believe the weather had cleared up. So they're out and about trying to find the boat, trying to figure out where they went.
Okay.
So John...
Presumably a boat that has 5 guys fishing on it is a pretty big boat.
Oh,
right?
so it's a 17-foot Boston
17.
whaler.
Oh, okay.
I had to Google that, which is, it's not a giant boat by any means, but it's a good little fishing boat for 5 guys to hop on.
You would be able to see it, yeah.
Yeah, and so John got the Coast Guard to help the following day, but John Cushman of the U.S. Coast Guard said they wouldn't really know where to look, because with a small boat like that, there's not really any form of GPS. It's hard to track. And when a storm comes, it's really hard to know where that boat is going to end up.
You could sling that thing for like miles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and really in any direction.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to, almost impossible to tell.
Oh, man.
So for weeks, the Hana residents helped the family search for Sarah Joe, but unfortunately, like many search and rescue stories, they never found the guys, and the village kind of had to just accept the grim fate that they were probably gone. And So you'd think like, okay, this is just a sad story about some guys that got lost at sea. Like there's nothing weird or spooky about that. But wait, there's more. So 10 years later, after the initial launch to sea, September 9th in 1988, a huge break came in the case where 2,000 miles west of Hawaii in the Marshall Islands...
2,000 miles.
2,000 miles and 10 years later.
Wow.
In the Marshall Island, the same marine biologist from before that was helping the father, John Nato, who, like I said, was looking for the Sarah Joe. He was on a wildlife expedition, and on a atoll, which I had to look up because I wasn't sure what a atoll was.
Atoll.
And it's a ring-shaped reef. So on an atoll, on the island or like the chain of the islands, because it's one of those islands that's a lot of smaller islands that are kind of clumped together.
Yeah.
And so I think that's usually where you find an atoll is kind of like something that bridges them together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so on this atoll, they saw a small boat kind of like stuck. And so John and his crew like quickly went to inspect the boat. While they're inspecting the boat, they found papers and registrations that had HI on them. And so
Hawaii.
Exactly. So they knew that the boat was from the Hawaiian Islands. It didn't exactly say the name on it, like who owned it. It was like the registration number and the location kind of thing. So it didn't straight out say one of the missing person's names. And so after finding the boat, they decided to go search for anybody on the island that was, basically closest to.
Can we talk about how serendipitous is that this guy who like helped out in the search for these
isn't that insane?
people are the ones that stumbles upon this boat
10 years later and 2,000 miles away?
I mean, is there any other islands near this island, or is it just kind of like one of those...
I didn't look at a map.
Man, I mean, it just seems like I feel like somebody would find them before 10 years is a long time to
What was the name of the islands again?
It was the Marshall Islands.
The Marshall Islands. So it's just 2,000 miles from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like by the Philippines.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a lot of little islands up there.
Yeah, the Marshall Islands right here. It's
Oh,
so
wow.
like there's Guam, there's the Philippines. So that's very far from. It's like
very, very far.
It's like near the Samoan Islands, Papua New Guinea.
Okay. And so after they searched the boat for whatever they could find, they decided to go into the island to see if they can find the guys. And about 60 yards from the boat, the crew found a shallow grave. And John said, when we got there, we could see immediately that there were human jawbone protruding from a pile of rocks. At this time, we had no way of knowing the gravesite was associated with the wreck of the whaler.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
really?
But-
This abandoned island, you're just like, oh, this skeletal remain. There's no, like, I'm not going to say this is connected to the boat that's a football pass away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's put two and two together, buddy.
Yeah. So after they came across the grave, they decided to like spread out and search the beach for any of the other people, assuming that maybe just one of them passed away. And so they kept searching for the other guys. And upon contacting the Coast Guard, they ran a registration and they confirmed that the boat was the lost Sarah Joe.
Oh, wow.
So once the Coast Guard got there, they excavated the grave to find more human remains and dental records that confirm that the remains belong to Scott Mormon. Captain Cushman of the Coast Guard also said a strange clue was buried along with the skeleton. And in a quote, he said, "It was a sheaf of paper, and I would say a book, except it was not bound, probably 3 inches by 3 inches and maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. But between each pieces of the paper were small pieces of tinfoil material. We are unable to determine who placed that there or what the purpose it was that it served."
I'm literally trying to figure out what that could be used for. Tinfoil inside paper. I mean, maybe there was writing on the paper before, and it was like maybe his goodbye letter. So if somebody ever found his body and ran the DNA test, they could be like, oh, this is this guy, and this was his last letter to his loved ones or something. But
Yeah.
I don't get the tinfoil.
So in the comments of the article that I found like most of this information from, I found a comment which was left from, a reader, which I cannot like
Verify
vouch
it's
for.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was saying in his comment that it's very common that in some of the religions that could have been, followed in the Hawaiian Islands, that there is a book that you would make that is like a book crossing over to the afterlife that is usually made with different materials, but it was kind of like a makeshift version of that might have been something that...
The book is used to cross over?
Yeah, it was a religious
Kinda
item.
like Tibetan Book of the Dead kind of thing.
Something like that.
So he's like, bury me with this, or maybe they made it for him because he was already dead or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is all strange and everything, but I haven't gone to the bombshell.
The meaty center?
Yeah, of where the strangeness really comes in. So experts say the Sarah Joe could have drifted 2,000 miles to the island, but in order to do that, it would have only taken about 3 months for the boat to get there.
To drift over there.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, you're thinking, okay, sure, maybe they were there for a few years. But the only problem about that is that there was another wildlife excursion on that island a year before they found the boat.
So they would have seen it.
They would have seen it. So somewhere there's a 9-year period where this boat is unaccounted for. No one has any idea where it was. And it's also, you have to factor in the fact that within those 9 years, some of them had to have been alive because they got to the island and buried one of the guys. So it could have been 1 or 4 of the guys that survived and they buried the one guy who passed, or it could have just been they were stuck on another island. They tried to get to this other one and it was only 2 guys and he passed away on the trip, and then the one remaining guy buried him. And no one has ever found any of the other guys or any of the other remains, and no one has any idea where the boat could have been for 9 years.
Let alone 9 years, 9 months, really. I mean, it's like you said that they could have got the boat there in 3 months. So
yeah,
Holy shit.
There's no way that they could have been floating for that long. I mean, just like sustenance or
circle?
something. Like my theory, just from hearing that, like in coming up with a theory in a couple seconds, is that maybe they landed on a smaller island and then they had damage to their boat. Actually, no, you would see if they had made repairs to their boat, though.
Yeah, there were no repairs or anything like that. Because if there were obvious repairs or anything like that, that would have definitely been like, oh, that's what happened. But there is nothing indicating that happened.
That's so weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or maybe just like the excavation crew or the biological survey crew before were negligent. They just
He's in a grave. So one of them was on that island with him.
Yeah, and so where did that person go if the boat's still there? And they searched the whole island, didn't find any other remains.
And they would definitely, like, I mean, maybe not for like the last guy, but I feel like there would at least be 3 other graves somewhere.
Yeah.
Like who buries the last guy, but unless they all died at the same time and then they couldn't, or like it just,
someone had to have buried that guy.
Yeah.
And there's just no answer for where anybody else was or is.
It's so frustrating to a certain extent. It's just like, oh my God, I want that answer so bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, have you seen Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Maybe they got to the world's end.
Oof. Or they're on the Lost Island.
Yeah, they could be.
They could be Jacob.
I would not be surprised.
They could be Jacob. It was Jacob, right? Wasn't he like the godly character?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a while since
Where
I've
my
seen
Lost
those
heads
movies.
at, huh?
I'm like,
where's my Dharma
well,
initiate?
Well, here's the thing.
Oh, Lost. That was a Lost reference.
Oh, I thought that was still Pirates of the
I
Caribbean.
thought you were still doing
I've never
Pirates of
seen
the
Lost.
Caribbean thing.
No, I don't have enough knowledge of that.
I ain't seen Lost.
Well, he jumped from you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean. I said yeah, and then he jumps all the way to World's End. I've seen Pirates. I've seen the first one. I've seen the second one too. But is that the
Which one's World End?
I don't know.
I watched the newest one on Netflix for about 30 minutes.
They go to the
and
end
turned
of
it off.
They go to the end of the sea.
And then they
Oh, so
they
it's a flat
flip
earther
over?
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Can we get a reality TV show of flat earthers trying to find the end of the earth?
Yeah. That'd be great.
I got an idea. How about you get that same guy who is in the German desert and get him on a boat out to that island?
Yeah, that guy will find something.
Yeah.
That dude has so much goddamn initiative.
That guy's killing it right now. So, wow, that is so fucking weird.
Yeah. So there's really no...
Do you think that... I don't know if you guys believe in crazy shit, but, like, do you think they entered, like, a vortex and were, like, just, like, fucking came out 10 years later?
At this point, like, sure.
The sea is mysterious to me.
That is true. It is easy to have a shallowy grave because, you know, that's another thing I was thinking about is that the last guy who buried him, who knows, maybe he drowned and his body was just whisked away. That's the only thing I can think of that makes sense is that he died in the ocean.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's kind of like the whole, well, you said the 9-year vortex for the whole McConaughey thing in Interstellar where he goes down to the planet and then, like, time goes by really quick.
Yeah, like
so
a minute is like 10 years or
yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
So
yeah.
maybe they hit a weird section, Bermuda Triangle.
Shit.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like 3 minutes or 9 minutes, and it was actually 9 years. And I would love to ask those guys what the dealio was on that. But
Yeah. That's crazy.
maybe
So,
they are still alive.
It's a possibility. I mean, anything's a possibility.
Maybe somebody else picked them up, and then they just, I don't know, changed their name or...
Or what if they could have got picked up by cannibals?
Somalian pirates.
Somalian pirates.
Yeah. There's, oh my God, yeah, there's so many...
The sea is crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the final frontiers, you know?
I don't go near it.
It's kind of doesn't make sense to call it the final frontier.
I don't mess with
I
the
would
sea.
love to be out on the open sea.
Oh, no way.
It makes me sick. I have to tell you this though. I was on a cruise one time and I looked out. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was up there and I looked out and there was not a light in any direction besides the moon.
Terrifying.
And no, it was like the most like peaceful thing I've ever experienced.
Hell no.
It was
My biggest
really,
fear
really
is
nice.
water I can't see the bottom of. Fuck that. Nope. Get me away from it.
No, you don't even know. We don't even know what's in 80% of our oceans.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, no.
People are so worried about going to space.
I'm going to stay on the ground.
Right underneath us. All right. Well, I think that concludes our what is this? The 4th episode? Yeah, fourth
It's
episode.
our first threesome.
And we'd like to say thank you, Jared, for coming on. That was a great story, and
Thank you.
your presence is always enjoyed around here. So.
Thanks.
And then we'll just do our plugs really quick. We have campstrange.com where you can
Yes,
find
of course.
all of our links for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And that Instagram is at Camp Strange Podcast, and Facebook and Twitter are at Camp Strange. And this is a Low Upside Podcast Network production, and that's where Jared comes into play.
Thank you.
Jared started lowupside.com.
Thank you. I did. Yeah. So if you have time, go on over to lowupside.com.
Go
You
check it out.
read about all kinds of stuff: music, football,
Go give a little peek.
food.
Ooh.
They got a bunch
Everyone likes food.
Yeah.
Most people like food.
Some people
like Youngblood.
Some people really
some
love
people
young
only
blood.
eat food for sustenance.
Yes, not
That's
for
true.
pleasure.
I don't like those people. But yeah, so check that out. And on Apple Podcast, give us a review, rate, subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. It really helps us get this podcast seen by other people.
We also wanted to give a quick shout out as well, real quick, to Big Jake Edlund, who has been a very big supporter from the get-go. Who
He has been.
Big Jake.
He's given a lot of feedback, which has
My
been
man.
appreciated. Outside of the whole, iTunes.
He's always
review.
giving us good. He's tweeting us. It keeps us going. It makes us feel good. He's listening, and we really appreciate that. So
Yeah, we'll get him on here as a guest as soon as we figure out how to do, like an over the phone thing.
or he could just fly out here. That's even more fun.
Yeah, he could
Get him out
he can
here.
just fly out here. We'll see if it's in our budget to fly out here or something. I don't think it is.
No, probably not. We're poor. But speaking of poor, we did have some merch coming very soon, so we might be making some money. Not a lot. It's probably like a $5 profit. But
it'll probably just go back into equipment.
Exactly. So,
no profit.
But we got some shirts coming out in like the next 2 weeks, and like a mug. We're starting slow, so hopefully you guys like the stuff we're putting out. It's like the logos that we have and stuff. And
I still want a beer koozie.
yeah, we got to get the beer koozies going. But I got some nice quality shirts. So I think the shirts are going to be like around $25, but I swear once you get them, the quality will be worth it.
You're not going to want to take these off. You're going to sleep in them. You're going to work out in them. You're going to go to work in them.
I didn't buy the bullshit like $5 shirt and
Gildan heavy.
No way.
Not even Champion.
I got like tri-blend cotton shirts that are like nice and breathable, and they don't like fall apart in the wash after you.
Not gonna bother your skin.
Yeah, so hopefully those will be up in about like 2 weeks. So if you're interested, take a gander at those. I think that's it. We said rate, review, subscribe. Check it out.
Are people still tweeting at you guys?
We love more tweets.
We understand that not everybody uses Twitter, because I know that I certainly don't really use it outside of our Camp Strange thing. So
yeah,
just if you're out there being active, send us some tweets, give us some good intro stuff,
or Instagram comment them. That's fine too for right now. So just send that over on an Instagram comment. Throw a little hashtag in front of it.
CSI.
And we love it. We love the interaction. We love hearing from you guys. And send us some more ghost stories and stuff. We haven't received many yet, but a lot of people will say that they have some, and I think they're just slipping their mind for not sending it in. So send it on in. Just go to our website at campstrange.com to the contact button, and you can just send it right there. You don't have to like email us. Just type your name in the name bar, and then the subject bar, and then just write your story and send it on over. We'll get it and read it on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that's sick.
Love some hometown spookiness.
We always love a little spookiness from you guys. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed. Jared, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Killing it. Lowupside.com, another plug. And don't forget to stay strange.